You have a lot of people being sick. Yeah? And it's always increasing. It's increasing every year.
Welcome to the third season of Transmission, the podcast of the Institute of Tropical Medicine in Antwerp. This season, we follow our researchers in their ambitious pursuit to eliminate and control diseases that threaten the world. In the first episode, we explored the powerful triangle of pathogen, vector, and environment. Now, in this second episode, we confront dengue fever, a growing global threat. From Cuba to Nepal, we uncover the creative, local, and collective solutions needed to fight this disease. Transmission, your front row seat to the world of health, science, and beyond. Imagine waking up one day feeling like your bones are breaking. This is how many describe having dengue fever, sometimes nicknamed breakbone fever. Once considered a tropical disease, dengue fever is no longer limited to specific climates, and it now regularly occurs in nearly 100 countries, affecting millions annually. It's a global health emergency.
So in the southern hemisphere, we have every year states who declare emergency due to the dengue.
This is Ruth Müller, an entomology expert at ITM specializing in mosquito-borne diseases. Caused by a virus and transmitted by mosquitoes, dengue fever is now spreading far beyond the tropics. Climate change, deforestation, urbanisation, and globalization have created ideal conditions for mosquitoes to thrive far and wide. From the streets of Brazil to the suburbs in Europe, dengue fever is knocking on the doors of countries once considered safe.
The same happened in Paris now for the Olympia. So there was a huge campaign, vector control campaign, to eliminate the Asian tiger mosquito from the cities.
The French government did this to prevent a local dengue outbreak during the Olympics. But how did we get here? Well, remember the triangle we talked about in episode 1? When vector, pathogen, and environment meet, you get a perfect storm. For dengue, this storm is brewing. It doesn't take much for a mosquito to thrive. A forgotten bottle cap, a puddle in a gutter, or even a curled leaf of a plant. To a mosquito, these small water reservoirs are perfect nurseries for their larvae. If there is water, the mosquito will breed and lay its eggs. And with rising global temperatures leading to unpredictable rainfall patterns and perfect conditions for mosquitoes to thrive, these tiny nurseries are multiplying.
So for the Asian tiger mosquito, they came to Europe via the trading of expired car wheels. And this tire trading is still ongoing.
The eggs survived the journey from Asia to Europe in small puddles of water in old tires. And when they arrived, they quickly adapted to their new environment. At first, their presence was limited to the tire yards and shipping docks where they arrived. But it didn't take long for them to spread.
So we had now in Italy this year the first outbreak of dengue. We had already outbreaks in France. They are at the moment not very large, but we have the mosquitoes everywhere.
Global warming creates ideal conditions for invasive species like the Asian tiger mosquito. Its eggs can now survive the mild European winters, hatching with the first spring rains. This mosquito could carry viruses like dengue, chikungunya, and Zika, pushing these diseases to new regions where they can spread, also to Belgium.
So this year we see everywhere plopping up new established populations. So we have already overwintering populations in Belgium.
In Belgium, these mosquitoes don't carry the dengue virus yet, so there won't be an outbreak tomorrow, but it's coming to the country and we have to prepare. Dengue fever is a tricky adversary. In most cases, it manifests no symptoms, silently spreading through mosquito and human populations. People who do fall ill can get the disease in varying degrees. Light or heavy headache, fever. The literature talks about mild symptoms, but Francesca Falconi questions that. This ITM alumna is an expert on dengue who's now working in Peru.
For people that had dengue and I talk to them, they say that it is not like mild symptoms at all. I feel like I'm going to die.
You feel pretty bad. Rarer but far more dangerous is severe dengue, which can lead to hemorrhaging, organ failure, and even death. a risk that increases each time you get the disease. The public health burden of dengue is enormous, and the resources a government requires to combat this disease can get astronomical. And dengue affects not only lives, but also livelihoods, with sick adults unable to work and children missing school. Yet Latin America, which carries the brunt of the disease, was once nearly free of dengue, as many countries launched massive campaigns in the 1960s to control yellow fever. This disease, with similar symptoms, is transmitted by a specific mosquito that can also transfer dengue. How did they manage to control it back then? With DDT, the first modern synthetic insecticide, a product that was widespread in the 60s and 70s, but is now banned because of its harmful effects not only on insects, but on the entire food chain.
Everywhere they were spraying, DDT spraying everywhere. So you had very few dengue at that moment.
But dengue came back. It is now more widespread than ever. Veerle Vanlerberghe is an epidemiologist and ITM expert on disease control and neglected diseases. She observes the resurgence clearly.
You have a lot of people being sick. Yeah? And it's always increasing. It's increasing every year. If you see the curves, this year, especially in Brazil, it's huge, the outbreak. So it's something that has an economic impact on the active population in these countries.
Strangely enough, dengue remains on the official list of neglected tropical diseases compiled by the World Health Organization.
Dengue is already causing a lot of struggles all over the world. I think it shouldn't be included in the list of neglected diseases anymore.
A change in status would not just lead to increased funding from governments and funding agencies, but also to increased attention from the pharmaceutical industry, which could then focus more on developing treatments. As the climate crisis reshapes ecosystems and enables mosquitoes to spread farther than ever, the need for innovative solutions has never been greater. It's time to explore better ways to combat the disease than by spraying DDT everywhere. So hop on board for an expedition that will take us to Cuba, Nepal, and Belgium. But first, we'll make a stop in Nicaragua. In 1998, Hurricane Mitch ravaged the country of Nicaragua, becoming the second deadliest tropical cyclone ever recorded in the Atlantic Basin. One of the doctors there was Veerle Vanlerberghe. Now a public health expert at ITM, she was then working in Nicaragua with Doctors Without Borders. One of the biggest fears in the aftermath of the hurricane? Dengue.
It was huge and huge damages. And they were very afraid, because there's water everywhere, that there would be an outbreak of dengue. But they were also worried because they didn't know what to do to control it.
No one knew how to manage a dengue outbreak if one occurred. In the end, it didn't come to an outbreak in Nicaragua, but the case stuck with Veerle, who started her studies in Antwerp and saw that there was a big need to understand and control the disease. From that moment on, dengue became a constant companion on her professional journey, a journey that quickly brought her to Cuba. For decades, this country has been on the forefront of mosquito control, tackling the problem with creativity and resilience.
In Cuba, you have a wealth of information because they have a very good surveillance system. So they know very well how many cases do they have, how many mosquitoes do they have.
But despite the competent teams and the available data, they're struggling.
It's a special country. Over the 20 years I'm going there now, I've seen Cuba in better situations and in worse situations. For the moment, it's economically quite challenging for the people there to survive, to live, to have access to whatever.
Cuba faces challenges like power outages and fuel shortages. Electricity is a precious commodity.
So in the capital, in Havana, it's better. But in the field where we are doing the studies, there you have very few electricity.
Sometimes you only get 2 hours of electricity in the middle of the night.
This means if you have from 2 to 4 o'clock in the morning energy, this means that people will have to wake up, put their washing machine or their things that they have to do in their normal life.
It makes doing research hard for everyone involved and full of challenges.
You really have to respect your teams. You really have to know in which conditions they live, that your expectations are realistic.
You have to find solutions.
We work with tablets that they are charging in the night. And sometimes it's not charged and you cannot do it because there is no electricity.
Then they work with paper, But sometimes even paper can be a scarce commodity. The Cubans, they always adapt.
And this is amazing. In the conditions people have to live, that they can do quality research, it's amazing.
By adapting, they perform important research that offers valuable insights into the spread and control of dengue, insights the whole world can use. But the virus and the mosquito also adapt. A few years ago, Veerle could hardly believe her eyes. She observed mosquitoes breeding in dirty water.
The mosquito is normally breeding in clean water. And then we found that there was no clean water, everything was treated. And then the mosquito was in the latrines, but in the upper water of the latrines. They were also in dirty water. They were in pools where normally they were not before.
Nature adapts. The dengue mosquito has shown remarkable survival strategies, finding unexpected breeding sites. Will the elimination of dengue ever be an option?
I don't think so. The mosquito is too clever. So it's a mosquito which has a survival and they want to live. They adapt. So it's very difficult to eradicate.
Half a world away, in Nepal, the challenges are different, but not smaller. Due to the climate crisis, mosquitoes are now appearing at higher altitudes, places where they were never found before.
Dengue arrived 2004 in Nepal. The first traveler came from Japan and brought the arbovirus to Nepal.
We listen to Ruth again. Do we know who the traveler was?
Yes, they know, obviously so.
But the privacy of the person is being protected.
Yeah, I cannot say too much about that.
It could have been anyone, as it was an accident waiting to happen, and the real culprit wasn't the traveller. It was, once again, car tyres. In Nepal, discarded tyres often sit along roadsides or on rooftops to secure corrugated roofs during heavy rains. The warming climate provided the right conditions, and global trade provided the transportation. Via trucks and boats, tyres made their journey across borders and oceans. It might seem harmless.
But what you have to understand, why tires? So if you ever wanted to remove water from a tire, you probably know that it's almost impossible.
The hollow rims fill with water and are the perfect breeding grounds for mosquitoes. Unnoticed by anyone, the eggs are incredibly resilient. Even if the water dries up, the next rain will trigger them to hatch. A cycle that can go on for months when the tire is left alone.
And you could find them at this time everywhere in Nepal, along the streets. So if there was a broken wheel, they just removed the car tire and put it on the street. Then there are these micro businesses. They collect these car tires and after a while they cut it down and trade it to India for recycling.
Ruth and her local Nepalese colleagues informed the Ministry of Health about the car tire problem, and the Nepalese government launched initiatives to remove tires from the streets.
You still have the micro businesses and few houses still have these car tires on the rooftop, but that became much less abundant than it was 5 years ago.
As a result, mosquito populations decreased, not a moment too soon. Since the introduction of dengue in 2004, scientists saw a slow but steady increase in the country, until a couple of years later, a first big outbreak suddenly led to more than 40,000 cases of the disease.
So the hospitals were flooded with sick people. The people are terrified that they get very weak. The people, they sleep a lot. They don't know how to protect themselves, their children. So what to do? And this is now repeating every year.
Despite all the efforts, Nepal now has to prepare its hospitals for big annual outbreaks. It's a huge public health burden, especially during the monsoon season.
In Nepal, the biggest challenges we face at the moment is the climate crisis itself. We have a lot of flooding, we have a lot of landslides. The monsoon season prolongs more and more, and we have more extreme weather events where people are suffering.
Collaboration is key to tackling this crisis. ITM works closely with Nepal's Ministry of Health and the Nepal Health Research Council, assembling multidisciplinary teams to study mosquito-borne diseases. Field teams track mosquito populations and identify breeding sites. But it's not only scientists that should get to work, it's also the communities, from Nepal to Belgium. We are all forced by dengue to take action. Public health experts are sounding the alarm. Preparation is key. So, which steps can we take? Let's take a look at Belgium's health sector. It's creating action plans to address potential dengue outbreaks. A key focus is raising public awareness. Travellers returning from countries affected by dengue can unknowingly transfer the virus to tiger mosquitoes present in their home countries. To reduce this risk of transmission, they need to use insect repellent while travelling and consult a doctor if they develop a fever after their trip. Another crucial factor is monitoring and controlling tiger mosquitoes.
The objective of the government in Flandern, at least I know, that we still want to get rid of these Asian tiger mosquitoes.
Belgium has started mosquito control with a citizen science project co-led by ITM and Cienzano, Belgium's Public Health Institute. When people spot a tiger mosquito, they can take a picture and report it on an online platform. Upon receiving the picture, Cienzano and ITM check whether or not it's a tiger mosquito.
If we say yes, this is highly likely, we contact the person who submitted the photo.
Where was this mosquito found? When was it found? Did the person recently travel? What happens then sounds crazy if you ever tried to locate a mosquito in your own bedroom and failed. An ITM team goes on location to hunt for mosquitoes.
In general, we look in 100 or 200 meter surrounding of the reported household. We have a field team dedicated to the monitoring of this Asian tiger mosquito in Belgium.
They don't look for the single reported mosquito, as that one has probably died by now, but they investigate the surrounding area. Are there water containers nearby? Could there be larvae?
We can also install traps to collect eggs. The mosquitoes come there, lay their eggs, and we can study if this is really from the Asian tiger mosquito. And then we inform Cienzano as the public health authority in Belgium to spread the knowledge.
When the search team identifies breeding sites, they apply BTI, a protein derived from bacteria that only kills mosquito larvae and is safe for humans.
This is the major defense line at the moment, but we also engage people to make their garden dry, to remove small breeding sites.
Belgium needs to invest in eliminating the mosquito as long as we can, says Ruth.
If it's established and really widespread available and also the population becomes abundant, we have a higher risk for these outbreaks, and it would be good to invest to delay this situation as much as possible.
But like Ruth said, the best place to start is your own backyard. It's easy to unintentionally create an ideal mosquito environment. Mosquitoes breed in standing water, often in overlooked spots like unused containers or flower pots. A single mosquito can lay hundreds of eggs. And when those hatch, each of those mosquitoes repeats the cycle, and you get an explosion of mosquitoes. Like Ruth, Veerle is all for cleaning up your own backyard. Community-wide cleanup campaigns are critical.
And so like this cleaning up campaigns, this is done in different countries.
Clean up your yard, get rid of standing water, cover water tanks, or even add fish to small ponds to eat the larvae. In Cuba, Veerle witnessed that these cleaning campaigns demand collective action. They need to be done on one and the same day, as mosquitoes don't respect property lines. If one household cleans up but the neighbour doesn't, the mosquito will just relocate to that neighbour's garden.
So it's a campaign, it's a whole day that they say, okay, now it's a day that we will clean up.
Waste collection services need to be dispatched on the same day as well, to gather the garbage people drag from their backyards.
So it's not only the health sector that can solve the problem. You have to work with the municipal services, the communication services, the schools, the education.
It's a collective effort, and initiatives like these can be seen in countries around the world.
I think in Burundi or Rwanda, it's every Saturday that it's a cleaning day, or the first Saturday in the month that it's a cleaning day.
How you address diseases spread by mosquitoes entirely depends on the context.
Every mosquito has a favorite space. So The Asian tiger mosquito likes this suburban environment. They like to have vegetation, but they also like to have a bit an urban environment.
Suburban backyards and city parks are an ideal environment for them to breed, so cleanup campaigns work well. But as they are daytime pests, traditional solutions like bed nets that work wonders against malaria mosquitoes don't work against Asian tiger mosquitoes. Veerle works on dengue in different countries, and while nations can learn from each other and draw conclusions about how to handle the disease, it's rarely possible to apply a solution directly from one country to another.
The context is everything. It's the behavior of the people, but also the behavior of the mosquito, the health system organization that influence a lot how your disease control will work.
As dengue becomes more common in Europe, we also need to think about how we want to control the disease. In Cuba, for example, officials go house to house every month to check for water containers that could serve as mosquito breeding grounds.
So it's very intrusive. You cannot imagine that we will do this here in Belgium, to say, okay, vector control people will come to your house and will inspect your entire house every month. We would not accept this. This is unthinkable. But there it's a political priority. It's a priority of public health. So the people have to accept it.
While community efforts are vital, science is also pushing boundaries in mosquito control. There isn't a magic bullet. Dengue mosquitoes are not the only insects Ruth and her team are working on. They are also turning their attention to malaria mosquito swarms, large gatherings of mosquitoes. It's a fascinating and underexplored phenomenon.
So they are building swarms, especially the male mosquitoes build large swarms in Africa, in the sub-Saharan Africa.
The swarms, with sometimes thousands of individuals, serve as mating areas, where females join the swarm to reproduce. They form above specific places. Ruth calls these places markers, and the swarms that form above them might just be a weak point in the mosquito's life cycle.
And these mosquito swarms could be a very good target to just catch them away and so to suppress the population.
While the idea sounds straightforward, locate swarms and eliminate them, the reality is far more complex. Swarms are unpredictable and often form in inaccessible areas, making them difficult to target.
So how you can master these swarms. And this is what we want to study, to train the mosquitoes kind of, that they can just follow us to the place where we want to have them.
Understanding what drives mosquitoes to swarm is key to this approach. Ruth's team uses 3-dimensional infrared cameras and bioinformatics to study everything from swarm size to movement patterns, aiming to decode the specific cues mosquitoes respond to. The team's findings are already promising. In lab simulations, they've successfully recreated swarms by mimicking the environmental markers mosquitoes prefer.
But we need to know better what are the mosquitoes sensing in the field.
Sometimes swarms form over a pile of wood or a dark structure, but other times it happens over a barren sand plain with nothing visible at all.
And then we cannot really explain why they built a beautiful large swarm above just the sand.
Of course, working with large mosquito swarms in the field presents unique challenges. Field teams are told to use repellents and to avoid wearing black as it attracts mosquitoes. The latter quickly became clear to a rookie on Ruth's field team working with dengue mosquitoes.
But we had one student and she was new in Nepal and she had black clothes, and in the end so all the mosquitoes surrounded her.
The student became a human marker and a swarm quickly formed around her. The team swiftly removed all the mosquitoes. The next day, she wisely decided to leave her black clothes at home. Once Ruth and her team understand swarming behavior, they hope to develop new tools to get rid of the mosquitoes. Current methods, like using insecticides, are effective but not ideal. The dream? A suction device that could capture entire swarms. In other words, a high-tech mosquito vacuum cleaner. To achieve that goal, ITM works together with a partner you might not expect. Aerospace engineers from the University of Wageningen in the Netherlands.
They are really good in helping us to understand biomechanic features of these mosquitoes. They use this knowledge, for example, also for robotics.
Ruth's project on swarming might still be in its early stages, but its potential impact is big. If scientists can master the art of controlling mosquito swarms, it could change how we combat diseases like dengue or malaria. So we need to get to work, as mosquitoes are hard at work too. But remember, everyone can contribute, and even the smallest interventions, like tipping a bottle cap, can make a big difference. Every effort counts, especially if you want to eliminate a disease. The last mile in disease elimination is often the toughest, as surprisingly, the challenges increase when cases decline.
It's a long-term effort. It's a long journey to achieve it. If it's achievable, that's one thing.
But that's a story for our next episode. For more information on the Institute of Tropical Medicine in Antwerp, please go to itg.be/podcast.